Hello and welcome to Healthy You. I'm your host, Jae Snell. I'm delighted to welcome our guest today, Elizabeth Gilhuly. Elizabeth is a health lifestyle coach with Gaia Principle Health Coaching who motivates individuals to achieve their health goals through lifestyle and behavior changes. In addition to promoting great health through lifestyle changes, Elizabeth is also a graduate of the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, a whole foodist who is evolving towards a raw plant-based diet. Please join me in welcoming Elizabeth Gilhuly. Elizabeth, how are you today?
Great. Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you here. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. Now, for our viewers at home who are not too familiar with the term whole foodist, what could you tell us a whole foodist is? Can you explain that a little bit?
It's essentially whole foods in their original form. So you don't need an ingredient list on a blueberry. It's things that your great-grandmother would have recognized.
So a person who's a whole foodist would eat more whole-based foods?
Yeah,
okay.
It's things that are unprocessed and don't need an ingredient list, essentially.
So very organic.
Yeah, very organic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, so if you're working towards a raw plant-based diet, is that the same thing?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, whole foodists, you can eat, if you eat meat, it's not processed. It doesn't have any secret ingredients, like beef is the ingredient.
Got it.
You know, but raw foodists usually are vegan, so it wouldn't have any of that sort of thing. But but it would just be limited to things that aren't processed, so probably less packaged vegan items that are common.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome to know. Thank you for explaining that. Now, I know you are you're into the Gaia Principle Health, and can you tell us a little bit more, about what the Gaia Principle Health is and what its mission stands for?
The name was inspired by the Gaia hypothesis, which was a scientific theory that said the Earth is one living organism. So we are all part of this living organism, and I evolved the name Gaia Principle Health because I thought that we are all part of the living organism, and your health is a very integral part of it. So how you feel when you wake up in the morning and how you talk to others, that all plays into the synergistic whole of our...
So in essence, you are what you eat type of thing.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's, because it's also a bit more about that. It's, we have primary foods in our life, which are your career, physical activity, spiritual practice, relationships, and how they make you feel. And then the foods you eat are can often be secondary to that. So if you were to go to a job that wasn't fulfilling or have relationships that weren't fulfilling, maybe emotionally how that would make you feel and how that would translate to how you eat.
Wow, that's a pretty interesting concept.
More...
That's pretty awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. So what are you preparing for us today?
So to start you off with this is the super simple raw food breakfast cereal. And you can make this in a lot of different ways.
Okay.
I've just started out with some simple berries here. And so I like mulberries. You commonly find golden mulberries in the store.
So we have about a cup worth of mulberry.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we're using here, but it's whatever you have on hand.
Okay.
So if I've just done 3 or 4 chopped bananas and papaya, also other dried fruits, whatever you have on hand is whatever you use in here.
Okay.
So don't feel limited by what you see here. Mulberries make a great base, dried fruits, because it adds different textures and interest and flavors.
Absolutely.
And mulberries, these are golden mulberries, but commonly around our area you find purple mulberries, which will grow wild. So you can actually use those if you have a tree in your yard.
That's interesting.
So we just add these guys in there.
Okay.
And then we have blackberries.
And those are gorgeous, by the way. They look so fresh.
Nature is just beautiful. It's amazing. And this is all this, they're alive. There's a lot of water content that's also important.
Okay.
Because, you know, we can easily get dehydrated, and we can get a lot of fluids through our foods when you're eating these types of things.
Now, what is this in your hand?
So this is the sort of milk for our cereal. And I love to start with coconut milk because it has a lot of healthy fats in it, and it just tastes great, and it's creamy. And what I like to add to this to add more protein is my favorite plant protein powder. There's a lot on the market, and they can include pea, hemp, goji berry.
Wow.
I mean, lots of different things. So, you know, you just find one that tastes good for you, and you can mix that into your milk. You're also not limited to coconut milk. You can use almond milk, soy milk, whatever nut milk. If you make mix at home, if you're ambitious like I am. And so I just mix in the protein in there. I mean, I've also added, if you want to get more fancy with your milk, you can add some more vanilla in here or cinnamon.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, this has some of that already in the plant protein.
Right.
So then I just pour that over here.
That looks beautiful.
And this is kind of thick. You can add more coconut milk and make it a little bit thinner to more your consistency of milk.
Wow, that looks pretty delicious.
Yes. And so we just
And
mix
it's so easy and quick to make.
Yep, that's it.
So that looks delicious. It actually looks like a dessert. Now, what would you say are the fruits that have the most calories? Or I know the plant-based protein has a lot of calories. Are there any fruits in particular that have more than others?
I really think it varies by the amount of fruit that you put in here. I mean, this looks like a lot, but this would be a serving for me. I may even add more banana in there, because you have to remember it has a lot of water in there, so it's volume. Your stomach gets used to eating more. But this, the coconut milk, that definitely adds a lot of the calories in there that you need. And don't get scared by calories, but it's like enough so that you have enough energy from the meal you've just eaten, so you're not hungry an hour later. And I know because I've been at a trade show and I've eaten a quart-sized jar of this and been fine for 4 hours, believe it or not.
And that was my next question, so thank you for pointing that out.
And you could use different plant protein, and also if you feel like you need more, then you can add more protein in there, whatever you feel like you need, because it depends on your size, weight, the calories that you want to take. You know, maybe you're going to skip lunch. I don't know. So it varies a lot. And you can use lots of different fruits in here. Again, this is just what we had on hand. But
so what should we do next? Once we've prepared this, we put it in a bowl and try it out?
Yeah, you can just go ahead and take some. We want to try some?
Sure,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Let's do that.
Now, viewers, don't get jealous. You can make this at home, and I promise you it is going to be, or so I've heard, I'll let you know in a second, that it is absolutely delicious.
And actually,
Thank you.
this, it looks a bit like it's yogurt, but I can also put a lot more coconut milk in here, and it'll, you know, your cereal is sort of as you craft it, so you don't have to get scared of it's too much work. So it's just whatever's simple for you.
It's so good. It's light. It's simple. And the sweetness of the fruit itself, wow, it makes it very delicious. Elizabeth, at the beginning of the show, we spoke of how you motivate people to achieve their health goals. How did you come into this career path?
This was actually an evolution over a few years. I was introduced to the concept of a health coach that even existed. I didn't even know the career path existed through a friend who studied, and introduced me to Institute for Integrative Nutrition. There are a number of health coaching schools throughout the country. This is the largest online school, and they make it really easy to study to do this because I was cultivating this career while I'm doing other things, as we all are doing.
Wow.
But my mother was ill when I was young, and I saw the different methods that she was trying, and nobody talked to her about diet, and it was actually herbs that healed her ultimately. And that that idea of herbs and plants, I just sort of grew from that. And the plants that grow from the earth, it's not just the herbs, but it's the foods you eat and where they come from. So I just really began to think about a lot of that and what a career would look like. And I found health coaching. And I like IAN because it talks about your primary foods, which we mentioned, relationships, career, physical activity, spiritual practice, and then the foods that you eat. So there's so much that cultivates health and why we get sick, and then what we can do on a daily basis towards healing. It's more than just going to the doctor, because you get sick before you go to the doctor. So what can you do? So I'm also studying herbalism, and it's along the similar lines, nutritional herbalism, and that's very exciting. So I'm evolving my knowledge base as I go along.
That's wonderful. That's really, really, really wonderful. I mean, and to be able to incorporate everything you learn in your own kitchen.
Yes,
that's exciting.
That's where it starts. It's like you have actually a lot of control over your health by what you eat. And the living foods, the life energy, like it all you come towards an understanding of your own choice. So nobody's going to tell you ultimately how to maintain your health. You know intuitively the things that you need to be doing. I don't think anybody needs to be told to eat a salad. I think we're beyond that now.
I mean,
honestly.
Wow, that's really well put and straight to the point, really. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, if they wanted to hire you so you can motivate them to achieve their health goals, how can they do that? Where would they go?
Really easy. Go to GaiaHealthCoaching.com. You can find whatever means is comfortable, email, phone. And there's some more information about me, and that's probably the easiest way.
So Gaia is spelled Gaia.
Yep, Gaia.
GaiaHealthCoaching.com.
Yep,
correct?
That's right.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Elizabeth. I'm excited because I learned something new, something simple, something easy to make when you're rushing in the morning. No excuse, viewers. Now you have a very healthy alternative to a breakfast cereal. So we're going to take a short break, enjoy this public service announcement, and we'll be back with one of my favorite dishes. I'm looking forward to seeing you when we get back. Elizabeth, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And let's enjoy. I really like the raspberries. They're the
Berries
sweetest.
are just really great.
For years, scientists have explored remote corners of the Earth, searching for exotic substances that might help prevent cancer. At last, man has discovered a secret place where powerful remedies can actually be found. Medical research shows that a vegetarian diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains can help prevent many types of cancer. Wherever you live, cancer prevention is as close as your grocery store. To learn more, call 866-906-WELL.
Welcome back. Once again, my name is Jae Snell, and this is Healthy You. I hope you enjoyed that public service announcement, and now I would love to showcase one of my favorite meals. In fact, I make this meal about twice a month in my own home. It's what I call an eggplant marmalade. It's a concoction of eggplant, a ton of vegetables, and organic products that I'm sure you're gonna love. So let's talk a little bit about what's some of these ingredients. We have salt and pepper, about 2 teaspoons of each. We have garlic, fresh garlic, minced garlic, 2 teaspoons of that as well. Fresh cilantro, however much you'd like. 2 cups of zucchini, your choice if you'd like to add more or take away more. 2 cups of portobello mushrooms, which I absolutely love. 2 cups of green peppers. I have a cup and a half of vegetable broth, organic vegetable broth. I also have a cup of tomato sauce, 2 cups of onions, a cup of onions, oh, not a cup, rather, excuse me, 2 teaspoons of this onion and cayenne pepper herb, which I love, and a fresh eggplant. Before I cut the eggplant into little squares, I typically use extra virgin olive oil, two caps, excuse me, and make sure that your pan is not extremely hot. The first thing that I pour in there is the garlic. Immediately after that, I add the mushrooms. I add the mushrooms first because they typically take the longest to cook. So I'll add a little bit of the vegetable oil or the vegetable broth, excuse me. So while that is marinating and cooking, now I will go ahead and cut the eggplant in half again, and then I will cut it into little cubes. And one of the reasons that I use vegetable broth too is because eggplant tends to soak up whatever you put it in. For instance, if I used water, then the eggplant would be mushy, but it would taste like water. So I like to use vegetable broth because it soaks up the consistency of the broth, and then it actually has a little flavor to it, which makes the meal a little bit more delicious than if I were to just use plain old water. So we're almost done here cutting this eggplant. And once I do that, I'm going to just start putting the eggplant in there with the mushrooms. And allow the eggplant a little bit of time to cook as well. And typically, I would say maybe 5 to 7 minutes. Don't quote me on that. Sometimes it takes me a little longer. Sometimes it goes a lot faster. But I truly enjoy this meal. Not only because it's nutritious, and I think that's good enough for the eggplant. We'll save this one for later. I enjoy this meal so much because it allows you the opportunity to make everything from scratch. And for instance, my mom, she has a garden in the back, and most of the items that you see here today, she grows them in her backyard. So in order for the eggplant to start getting softer quicker, I will put the rest of the vegetable broth in there so it can soak, and I'll turn the heat up a little bit. And typically what you could do at home is just take a cover so this can simmer, it can heat, and you can contain all the heat and make sure that this is getting steamed a lot faster than it is right this second. Next, I'll leave this on here for another 3 to 4 minutes, and then I'll add the zucchini. So it really all depends on how you like your meal. For instance, for me, I love my vegetables crispy and not completely overdone or well done. Some people like them mushy. That's really not my preference. I like them a little crispy. Whatever your preference is, you can make the meal really to your specification. So the best thing is just actually trying it out. Don't be scared to try this at home. Even if you've never tried it, just give it a chance. And if you don't like it, well, at least you said that you gave eggplant a chance. And I know a lot of people do not like eggplant because it might be a little spicy, but there are ways to tone it down. One of the ways that I use is with the vegetable broth, and you can also use water. And actually, I've seen meals where people use coconut water or coconut oil or coconut milk, actually. So it's all up to you and what you like. So now I'm going to add the onion and herb seasoning, as well as the salt and pepper. And you'll see that the eggplant and the mushrooms will start getting softer and softer. Having a lid, once again, will really, really help speed up this process. So I would just leave the lid on for 5 minutes. So what we can do in the meantime, this would be a perfect time for you to be able to chop your other items and cook a pot of rice. Sometimes there are a ton of elements that go well with this. So a ton of sides, I should say. Some people like rice. Some people like mashed potatoes. I know where I come from, we eat a lot of plátanos. So that's another option that you can eat, plantain in English. And they're all healthy substitutes. And I know quinoa is very popular as well, so you can try that. So as you can see, the consistency of it is turning into a little bit of a stew. So now what I'm going to do is add the zucchini. And I won't use all of them today, but you can use as much as you like. And I will use half of the onions as well as the green peppers. And just, it's all a matter of stirring. If I had a top here, I would definitely put the top on and just leave it alone for 5 minutes. It's starting to get this beautiful color, which I'm going to change as soon as I add the tomato sauce. And don't be afraid to try different ingredients. If there's an ingredient here that you don't particularly like, substitute it for something else. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I'm going to throw the tomato sauce on here. And this tomato sauce is actually basil and garlic. I really like the difference in using a tomato sauce that has a little flavor to it. And seeing how that sits together. Once this gets a little bit softer and the vegetables get a little bit more tender, I will finalize this dish by adding some cilantro. And I love cilantro, I love the taste, I love the freshness. And what I really like about this dish too is that you can go to the farmer's market, you can make this and you can save it for the next day. Maybe you need to go to work, or perhaps you don't feel like cooking the next day. This is a great alternative. You just put it away in a tub, put it in your fridge, and it's great for the next day. And let's say you're making it for your family and they're not too fond of eggplant. You can still take the eggplant out and you still have all your vegetables all together in a delicious fashion, which you can serve to your children and your family and have a nice healthy meal. Now, probably the greatest addition that I've tasted was a Lebanese recipe of rice. It had rice and lentils in it, and that was so delicious. So I would highly recommend that you do that. Obviously, I don't have the rice and the lentils here, but as soon as I get home, that's probably the first thing I'll do to create my side for this dish here. And you can eat it as an entree, or you can eat it as a stew, whatever you prefer. And what I always look for is with the eggplants, sometimes the eggplants, they still look a little bit of white, and you can see the white here. I would wait until they're as mushy as possible. That's really the way for me to determine that they're cooked all the way through and that they're all the way done. I think it's not fun to eat a vegetable when it's raw and you're expecting it to be cooked. So I think altogether this meal may take about 10 minutes to prepare. Not long at all. Probably putting the ingredients together, cutting them up, preparing them prior to putting the meal together may be the longest you'll have to do in order to put it all together. But it's a great alternative to going out and buying something fast food, which is really convenient. But the great thing about this too is that you can take a meal like this and you can do it as a family. So if you have children, you can have them pour the tomato sauce, or you can, if you have an older child, they can cut the onions for you or the peppers. And it's an inclusive meal where everybody can prepare something. You do it together and then you enjoy it together afterwards. So that's really what I love doing with my son. We just prepare meals together that he doesn't always like eggplants, by the way, but we prepare meals that we enjoy. And one day he gets to choose what we make, and then the other day I'll choose what we make, but we do it together. And it becomes a healthy eating habit, and it's fun at the same time. So that's really why I enjoy cooking fresh ingredients versus going out and buying something that's pre-made and completely unhealthy from a fast food store. So I would highly recommend you doing this at home and taking the 10 minutes to do it. I guarantee that it will give you a lot more benefits doing it like this. Welcome back. Now that our meal is completed, as you can see, the eggplant is soft, our mushrooms are soft, and we are going to plate this delicious meal and try it out. And a meal like this with all the ingredients that you saw, I would say could feed about 3 to 4 people. And let's try it out. Let's see. It's very delicious. And it's not because I made it, I promise you. If you follow the recipe, you too will enjoy an eggplant medley full of vegetables. Excuse me. It's really good. Once again, my name is Jae Snell. Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to find our Healthy You TV show page on Facebook and go to our website, healthyoutvshow.com. And remember, a plant-based diet is a fantastic foundation for a happy, healthier you. So I'll see you next time. Take care and enjoy this recipe.